Ammbr is a connectivity platform. The reason for that is our primary goals are to be able to ultimately achieve the United Nations sustainability goals. Yeah, the reason for the sustainability goals is because there is a major discrepancy between the way people live in rich countries and people that live in poor countries, or alternatively between rich people and poor people in any society. And the aim of those United Nations goals is to bring those groups of people closer together. In other words, to afford more opportunities for especially poor people. So the first step in being able to include anybody, when you're talking about better education, better financial inclusion, better health services, all of these things in today's world depends largely on a few key issues, right? And one of them is telecommunications. If somebody is not on the internet, they cannot be given all those services or even start talking about financial inclusion. It's very difficult. So if you look at our product, like that is the Ammbr router. This is where we're starting. This is a mesh networking router with built-in blockchain. And the security aspects of it are driven by what we call self-sovereign digital identity. So this is what we're talking about at the first stage of our project. And this will allow the people in society, and I'm specifically talking about the lower half of society, the 4 billion people who do not have internet today. I'm not talking about people in big cities, especially not people in first world countries. I'm talking about people that today do not have access to the internet for whatever reason. This gives them the power to build out telecommunications infrastructure within their own communities in order to get internet to those people. So not everybody will have one of these. You'll find some entrepreneur in a village or a few entrepreneurs that will acquire these. They will see the opportunity that they can provide connectivity to their fellow citizens and make money from it. But what it will do is it will amplify the capability of taking internet to people. So this is what the Ammbr project is all about. The rest of the product, okay, you take off the telecommunications. This is very important, right? Blockchain gives you an economic substrate, the ability to do microtransactions, and telecommunications connects you to the internet. This here is edge computing. So putting computers in people's hands at the edge of the network. So for instance, this can be a server, right? An embedded server, which can be sliced up into small compartments, which can be sold for cryptocurrency. This can be a solid state drive. Again, you can cut it up into small pieces and sell it to people at the edge of the network. So for example, video, right? Video on demand. You have a latency problem with the network, getting it from the cloud, the server up in the cloud, to the person at the end. And having caching capability at the edge of the network will improve video throughput and the experience of the end user for video. It's just one example. And then there are other pieces as well. So you would build a device as an end user. You'd put a couple of devices together for different things, but ultimately for the poor villager in the rural district, he's looking at ways of making more money. So by giving him a tool in his hand in the first instance that he can sell up pieces, either connectivity or computing or storage at the edge of the network, gives him more potential for revenue. And then it gives governments and businesses more opportunities to push services and applications out to the edge of the network. So we're the cloud at the edge of the network. That's really what Ammbr is about.
Thanks very much, Derick. Maybe first of all, this looks very ambitious and very good for the community. Maybe you can describe a typical token use case. What it will be, I mean, like in terms of timeline,
right?
How will it look like?
Okay, so for the next 2 years, we're going to be doing specific proof of concept type projects, especially in Africa. So we have a few identified, we'll identify a few more and other groups. But for instance, let me give you one of the use cases is for the refugee camp in Uganda with an organization called Bosco Uganda, where they want to deploy this infrastructure, this internet infrastructure, to provide internet connectivity to refugees. The project underneath that, which is very important for aid organizations, is to provide digital identity to refugees to shortcut the gap between the donor and the recipient of aid and charity at the bottom of the pyramid. So where you typically have a very large bureaucratic infrastructure, a very costly infrastructure to get aid to a refugee, plus of course it takes a long time, we shorten that distance where basically the donor can get directly to the refugee based on the profile, and the profile is attested to by the aid worker in the refugee camp. So that is a first project that we're going to go into.
Nice, and to make things more simple, you assume that a man or a user in Africa, for him to get internet access, it will be cheaper using Ammbr, cheaper and simpler.
Keep in mind that we're targeting people who do not have internet access today, or they have very bad internet access. Keep in mind that we're targeting people who do not have internet access today, or they have very bad internet access. So people often ask us, are we competing with the telecoms operators, with the mobile phone operators? And the short answer is no, we aren't. Maybe in the future we will compete with them, but right in the beginning, we are looking for the places and the people that do not have connectivity today. So it'll be the world's first truly decentralized telecommunications network that is owned cooperatively and communally by the owners of that telecoms infrastructure. In other words, the people that buy the routers. Right.
So maybe you can tell our viewers how they can get involved in your great project.
Well, we have the token sale that's coming up. There are going to be multiple ways of getting involved. We're also looking for more partners. We're an open ecosystem. We're looking for more blockchain companies, application developers, even non-technical organizations that are focused on any sort of upliftment strategies, technology delivery, things like waste to energy, solar power, etc. These are all the sorts of people that we're busy talking to now.
Okay, Derick, thanks very much.
Great.
Wish you success, great success in your project.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.